So these are our learning objectives for lesson number 4, devising a chocolate bar. So for a bronze level, you are going to recall how to use PAFT, which we did last week. For a silver, you are going to plan and devise a chocolate bar. And for gold, you are going to devise an advert whilst applying persuasive features. So again, hopefully this is going to be all the things that we've worked on so far, building up together to this point. So the first thing I wanted to do was just go over what PAFT is, just as a bit of a reminder for you and just to refresh your memories. So this stands for purpose, audience, format and tone. And these are things that you can use when picking apart why a writer has made certain decisions when creating a piece of writing. And they're also a planning tool, which I briefly mentioned last lesson. So we're going to use these this week as a planning tool, and you are going to be using PAFT to help you devise your own full-page magazine advert for a chocolate bar. So the first stage in any kind of creation or invention is the planning phase, and this includes when you're doing a piece of writing. So the first thing I want you to do is to consider these 3 questions and try and answer them. I'll give you an example of my own for inspiration. So you're thinking about creating your own chocolate bar. Very exciting. So the first question is, what are the ingredients going to be in your chocolate bar? The world is your oyster. You can choose anything you like to go in your chocolate bar. Obviously you want to try and make it delicious because you want people to buy it, but it's up to you what you put inside. So I decided that I would put wafer, caramel and milk chocolate in mine. Yeah, it's pretty standard ingredients, but I'm going to give it a little twist. And that leads me on to our second question, which is what is going to be special or different about it? Now, I decided that I was going to make a chocolate bar, but in reverse. So the wafer would be on the outside of the bar and the chocolate would be in the middle. So see what you can come up with, more inventive than my reverse bar. And finally, you want to ask yourself who are going to be your target audience. So who is it that you are targeting your chocolate bar at? Who do you want to walk around the supermarket or browse online, find your bar and go, do you know what, that chocolate bar is for me? Who are the people that you are aiming your chocolate bar at? So I decided children and teenagers, and also people who consider themselves a bit different, out of the ordinary. This is a chocolate bar for you. So you have decided your ingredients, you've decided what's going to be weird, a bit different, a bit special about your chocolate bar, and you've decided who you want to buy your chocolate bar. Next, what I want you to do is think about what it's going to look like. So I'd like you to design your chocolate bar, creating a sketch. Now, there's a couple of different ways you could do this. You could do a little bit of a sketch on a piece of paper and then upload it. You could do it online if you're quite good at stuff like that. It's totally your choice. But what I'd like you to do is make sure that you have labelled it. So having a look at my reverse bar here, you can see that I've actually got pink wafers on the outside, the caramel filling, and then that milk chocolate centre there as well. Now yours might be far more complicated than mine. It might have loads more different layers. It could have tons of ingredients, so you need to show what that's going to look like when it's all kind of put together. You could even do what you would like the wrapper to look like as well, if you like. Your third task is to write a short description of your bar. This is going to give us a bit of an idea of really what it's like. You're developing your ideas here, you're thinking about what it's like, what the experience is like to open your chocolate bar and eat it. And what I'd like you to try to do here is use figurative language. Now, figurative language is basically just a fancy name for things like metaphors, similes, personification, imagery, things that aren't literal, little techniques and devices we use to spice up our writing. And I'll give you an example of that in a second. Now, this is your success criteria for the task. I'd like you to make it incredibly detailed as you possibly can. Of course, try and use your best spelling and grammar. Try and use your best possible vocabulary, but in a purposeful and thoughtful way. Use metaphorical, figurative language that we discussed. Now, it's important to note at this stage that this is not your advert. At this stage, you are practicing your descriptive writing skills. Okay, so we don't want to hear any persuasive language here. That's not the purpose of this task. Now let me give you an example of one I did for my reverse bar. So here it is, the reverse bar, and here is what I wrote. I wrote, the reverse bar is as light as a feather and smells like sweet strawberries. So you can see there in the start that I have got a little simile there, and I've talked about how it smells as well. I've talked about the weight of it here as well. I've said, as I enjoy this delectable treat, the pink wafer shell dissolves delicately on my tongue, releasing the flavours of berries and cherries. So I'm going to take you through a bit of a journey here of me taking a bite of this chocolate bar and the different kind of stages. Have you ever actually taken something and eaten it really slowly, really taking your time to experience it? If you haven't, you should, because it's a really great mindful activity to do, and it can make you feel really lovely, and it can be a whole different eating experience. So how about giving that a go next time you have a chocolate bar? Maybe you should eat some for a bit of experimentation and research for your own chocolate bar. Next, we've got, as the whisper-thin wafer disappears, I next experience the creamy golden caramel dancing on my taste buds. The silky texture delights my senses. It is smooth and sweet. Then we have, finally, I reach the centre. It is a milk chocolate morsel. I am overwhelmed by the smell of malt and honey sweetness. I take a bite into the rich chocolate and my teeth sink into the soft texture. I feel comforted by the way the chocolate melts in my mouth. It reminds me of the sensation of drinking warm cocoa. So if we have a look at this here, we can see that we have described it in great detail. We've talked about the smell, the taste, even the feeling of the caramel and the chocolate melting in the mouth as well. So there's loads of detail there, and that's what I want you to try and do. So really think how it would taste, how it would feel, how it would smell, all those different things building up together. So have a little bit of a go at that stage next of your work, and then come along back when that is done. So at this stage, we have decided what our chocolate bar is going to be like. We've decided on the ingredients. We've really planned out what it's like and the experience of eating this chocolate bar together. And now what we need to try and do is turn this into an advert. We need to make an advert to combine all of that information to really sell what we have created. So we're going to use PAFT. Now, I'm going to give you an example of PAFT for the reverse bar, and actually in the Google Sheets I have filled out the P and the F for you just to sort of help you along with that. But you need to think specifically for yourself who your audience are and what the tone of your advert's going to be. So here's mine. So the purpose is to persuade people to buy the reverse bar. And the audience are children, teenagers, and people who want something new or different. The format is an advert from a magazine, and that's what you're going to be doing as well. And the tone of my reverse bar, I've decided, will be lively, fun, and informal. So I'm targeting this at children and teenagers, so I don't want to be too formal with my language because that's just not going to appeal. So I'm going to try and make it fun and lively. So because we're getting a little bit more confident with using the DeForest features, the persuasive features, and we're sort of building up that confidence as we go, what we're going to do is first plan out how we could use one of each of the persuasive features in the advert. So we're going to come up with one sentence for each of the DeForest features that you could use when you actually write it out. And again, I'm going to show you my example that I did for my chocolate bar. So I said, direct address, treat yourself to something unexpected. So we've got the yourself, the direct address there. I decided that I wasn't going to include an anecdote, which is why I've greyed it out, and that's fine. You don't have to use all of the DeForest features every time you do persuasive writing. In fact, sometimes it's not appropriate to use particular persuasive devices, so you do sort of have to be selective about which ones you use. In this case, I thought, no, I don't think anecdote's appropriate, so I'm not going to use that one. The facts I've got here: the chocolate in this bar is made from whole milk enriched with vitamin D. The opinions: this might be the best chocolate bar ever made. Repetition: the reverse bar will reverse everything you know about chocolate bars. Rhetorical question: do you want to try something completely different? Yeah, we've got a little bit of direct address in there as well. Lovely. Emotive language: when you're feeling tired and blue, try something that will lift your spirits. So emotive language, just as a reminder, is when you use language that's designed to make you feel particular emotions here. So this is trying to make you feel like you understand, you empathise with what it's like to feel quite tired and quite sad, and hopeful that this chocolate bar will make you feel better. I mean, not a very probably ethical way to advertise a chocolate bar, and I actually think that adverts aren't allowed to do that these days. But hey, we're going to break the rules with this. Why not? Statistics here: we only source 100% fair trade cocoa beans. Fair trade means that the people who will pick the cocoa beans will get given a fair price, because sometimes large groups, large businesses, for fruit and vegetable in particular, won't actually pay their workers a fair wage. So it's always worth looking out for that fair trade mark. And triples: our wafers are delicate, crispy and light. So now is the final stage. You've done all of your planning, you've decided what your chocolate bar's like, you've even planned out your persuasive features, and you are now ready to turn it into an advert. So just as a reminder of the task, this is what you're doing. Imagine you have been asked to make a full-page advert for a magazine for your chocolate bar. Write what you would say using the planning you have done. So I'll give you an example here for the reverse bar, and you'll notice that I've used a lot of the ideas that I wrote down in the table in the last part of the video, and I've actually sort of adapted it and tried to make it fit here into the advert. So you don't have to use directly what you wrote, but use it as inspiration. So I've got this: the reverse bar, it will turn your world upside down. That's my slogan, by the way. Do you want to try something completely unexpected? Then treat yourself to the unpredictable with our all-new chocolate bar. Made with only the freshest whole milk enriched with vitamin D and 100% fair trade cocoa beans, it makes a tasty snack for any time of day. With a delicious coating of delicate, crispy and light wafers, this is a treat for all the senses. It could be the best chocolate bar ever made. When you're feeling tired and blue, try something that will lift your spirits. Reverse everything you know about chocolate bars. Buy your reverse bar today and turn your world upside down. Right, it's your turn. So have a go at creating your advert, and make sure that you ask if you have any questions or problems. Good luck!